WOCA. Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. One of the things that we take for granted is that the stuff we need to make other stuff is always going to be there. It is an interesting thing, isn't it? Remember when you were a kid, you got a quartz watch, and you said, "Oh, there's quartz in here, right?"
Oh,
and of course, you don't even understand what does quartz have to do with a watch. I don't, and I still don't understand this. The Senate has introduced some legislation to increase the access to domestic minerals fundamental to American innovation. That is what my notes tell me. And Gareth Hatch is going to explain what that means. He is an expert on the growing demand for rare earth elements and other critical and strategic materials. We're going to talk about the importance of increasing our domestic mineral supply here in this country and the urgent need to level the playing field for the mining industry in our country as with the rest of the world. Gareth, if I didn't have notes telling me to read that stuff, I wouldn't even know what I was saying right there. But thank you, Gareth, for being on the air to help us understand this.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Where are you right now?
I'm based in the suburbs of Chicago.
Oh, okay. What's your accent from? Where are you from?
I grew up in the United Kingdom, so I'm from England.
Okay. Well, explain what this is about. And this sounds like something that we should understand in order to be passionate about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we use metals and minerals every day in our daily lives. We just don't realize it. If you don't grow something, you have to mine it, right? So whether it's our cell phones or our computers, our cars, everything ultimately is made from metals and minerals that we have to get out of the ground. And so they have to get them out of the ground from somewhere, whether that's the USA or overseas. And so this all ties into our ability to access those metals and minerals and to make the things that we need from them.
Wow, it's a whole world that I never even thought about before, but it's all making sense. The little tiny components of a computer came from some mine somewhere. You don't grow that stuff.
Yes, exactly. I mean, if you look at the battery that powers your laptop, it's made from lithium and graphite and cobalt. I mean, these are all elements that have to be mined and processed and purified. The screen that you look at, the colors that are formed are there because of the presence of very exotic-sounding elements like terbium and yttrium and europium. But it goes beyond that to our vehicles, to aircraft. Our Defense Department needs for strategic materials like titanium.
Isn't that amazing? So what is the legislation? Explain what the Senate has proposed or has actually passed.
Yeah, so one of the biggest issues that the U.S. faces is for the development of new mines or to bring previous mines back online is the permitting process, all of the paperwork that's required, understandably, to make sure that these things are done in an appropriate manner. But it takes up to 10 years in the U.S. to get that paperwork sorted out.
Wow.
So what the Senate is hoping to do, Senator Murkowski, who's the chair of the Committee on Energy and Resources, what they're looking to do is to streamline that process, not compromise the integrity of the process itself, but to remove some of the duplication, the inefficiencies, and try and reduce the time that it takes to get the permitting process completed. Hopefully that will allow the industry to be more competitive, attract more investment, create more jobs, but just as important, get us access to these metals and minerals, which ironically are right here in the U.S. So many of these that we import could actually be produced here in the USA.
And we import them from everywhere, or gosh, it sounds like we're just shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yeah, I mean, we import them from all over the world, but many of these metals and minerals come from places that, perhaps are not quite as friendly with the U.S. as they might be. And so, you've always got that thought in the back of your mind, what happens if there's a disruption of supply. So it makes sense to be less reliant.
In the areas that fracking is happening, can the guys that are fracking work in tandem with the guys that want to extract these minerals?
Well, you still have a permitting process for fracking. That's for the energy resource side of things, and there's a bit of a different dynamic going on there. But certainly, being willing to be scrutinized and review your plan of operations and what's the impact going to be. That's all part of a sound, transparent permitting system. So, whether it's fracking or oil or mineral resources, which is the primary focus of this legislation, I don't think there's any question that we need to have a permitting process. It's just can it be done in a much more effective way? I mean, if you look at Canada or Australia, it takes no more than 2 or 3 years for the same level, the same high quality of scrutiny as it does here. So it's not an issue can it be done? It's do we have the will to do it?
Wow. The phone is ringing. You've got some people wanting to ask questions. Are you okay with me going to the phones?
Of course, yeah.
All right, excellent. Thank you for waiting. Good morning. You're on the air now with Gareth Hatch.
Good morning, sir. Yes, some years ago during the second administration of Bill Clinton, he, by executive order, created a national monument and took land that had large deposits of low sulfur coal and made it essentially illegal to mine that. That's something you have to consider is, capricious takings of natural resources out of production. And I'll hang up and listen to your answer.
Thank you. Gareth?
Yeah, so, we've been talking to folks in the last few years across the country that have expressed similar concerns. I've done some work in the western USA as well, where land has been put out of use that actually was originally designated for mineral development. But, as the federal laws and rules are changed, this stuff gets put out of use, and with probably not very much scrutiny as to the consequences of that, and understanding what mineral wealth we have there. So, it is an issue. It's part of a bigger issue. This legislation from Senator Murkowski is the beginning, I think, of a new way of approaching this that.
Right.
Does what needs doing, but in a more effective manner.
And I guess we all want to be good stewards, but I mean, if it's hurting us, we need to figure out a way to do it without, ruining the environment. We do have another phone call. Thank you for waiting. You're on the air now with Gareth Hatch.
This is a privilege. Thank you. There are additional national security concerns here because China has made a tremendous effort to develop their own supply of rare earth, and they have already demonstrated that they're willing to use it as an economic weapon. Specifically, they targeted Japan when they were having a little bit of an international diplomacy spat, and China demonstrated that they would be willing to cut off supply to Japan. And of course, we already discussed how these are needed for high-tech industry, and we need to develop ours. It's difficult to do with the EPA having such a stranglehold on things, but as Larry said, we need to be good stewards of our environment, but we also need to have reasonable amounts of regulation that do allow us to develop and use our natural resources. We're a rich country, and we shouldn't have to fall behind other countries like China who are a little bit less squeamish about safety in the environment. And I'll listen on the air. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Gareth?
Yeah, it's a very good point. China is the producer of many of the minerals that are imported. We mentioned rare earths as a good example, but this is another example. We have rare earth deposits in the USA. These are elements used in magnets, in our computer screens, in batteries, all kinds of applications. We do have a mine up and running, actually in California, that produces rare earths. There are some others that are under development. But if we can streamline the process for permitting, it makes it much more likely that these projects will become available and we'll be able to supply the elements that we need without being reliant on countries like China, who obviously they're in this for China, and the U.S. needs to be in this for the USA.
Well, in a short period of time, I already understand at least enough to make me want to know more. Is the website mineralsmakelife.org? Is that the best way for me and anybody else to learn more?
Absolutely. There's lots of great information and data and background on this topic. So please take a look.
All right, mineralsmakelife.org. Gareth Hatch, what a great topic. Thank you so much for bringing it to the show.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, a warm day with sunshine and some building clouds. There can be an afternoon thunderstorm in spots. High 82 at the coast, 87 inland. And partly cloudy tonight, though 63 to 67. Mostly sunny and pleasantly warm tomorrow. High 83 at the coast, 89 inland. For Friday, partly sunny and warm. Watch out for a thunderstorm in the afternoon.